Greetings! Today we discuss When I'm Dead from Jiminy, Leslie Nielsen movies, wooden lyrics, and so much more on this episode of Bagels and Rest the Podcast! Hey! Eureka! Bagels is turning today! Bagels is turning today!
Ahoy, boogers! Welcome back to Bear Ghost Invents the Podcast, our podcast where we plunge into the who's its and what's its galore of the inner workings of Bear Ghost. I'm Ryan. I play guitar. I got the rest of the guys with me.
Oh, buttons, how the hell?
I'm Andrew. I told myself I was going to come up with a thing to say, and I didn't.
I'm Tigbot. I play with your heart.
I just want everybody to know that Andrew read that intro off of
Cue cards.
off of cue cards.
You can leave now.
Our cue card guy.
He's fired.
Get out of here. He's fired.
Yeah. I don't need him anymore.
Nailed the job. You're fired.
He was on the payroll?
There's a payroll.
We're not making any money from it, but freaking Bilbo, the cue card guy.
Bilbo, come back here.
His last name's also cue card, so Bilbo cue card. Bilbo cue card. Do not take me for some conjurer of cheap tricks.
Keep going.
I'm not trying to hire you. I'm trying to fire you. Perfect. This is how we start every episode. Everybody out there knows that. You guys finished reciting it by heart with us while we said it. So kudos to you. Take a second to pat yourself on the back. I'll wait. Andrew, put that away.
Sorry. Gross. That is the third time that's happened, and the third time I have to cut it out of the podcast.
Don't cut it out of the podcast. Why are you cutting it out? That's gold.
Because it makes me sound so disgusting.
Yeah, people know it's a joke, maybe, hopefully. I don't know. Today we're talking about When I'm Dead. Perhaps.
In a couple years.
Yeah. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
What is this song about?
We'll get there. This was one of the songs. This is not the only song that this has happened to, but this is one of our songs where the title came first. This was your working title for the song before any lyrics were even written for it.
When I'm dead. I had that part as a working lyric.
Yeah. I ended up keeping it when I was writing my drafts because I couldn't get it out of my head because I knew whatever your scratch lyrics were and nothing else I put in there was flowing right. So I ended up writing the whole song around that title.
This might be a chicken and the egg situation. So which came first?
The egg.
Because I gave you like a super clear premise.
You did. It was a lot darker.
My premise was darker?
Yeah, because
Trigger warning.
No, wait, no.
Warning.
the first concept that you gave me was about someone who was talking about how much better things would be after they died. We were talking about how you were worried about the concept glorifying suicide because of the way the concept was, because it was very much just like, oh man, everything's gonna be so much better when I'm gone. Because it was supposed to be like being excited. I don't even know if it was like for the afterlife or just to not have to deal with this shit anymore.
Right.
We had a conversation about it. I was just like, I feel like this is a little bit too...
Okay, that makes sense. Okay, because I do remember that, but what I remember more is giving you the following concept, which is what you wrote the lyrics about. I have notes galore about all of this.
I just have bullet points.
What are your bullet points? Wait, bullet point. This requires a trigger warning.
Warning.
More intense.
Warning.
When I had started writing this song, I had just finished watching The Good Place at your recommendation several years earlier. I think it's the first episode of the last season or like the second to last episode of the last season. Everybody
My God,
there.
how many things are you going to spoil on this podcast? I mean, not for me. I've seen it, but I'm just saying, like...
Okay.
Spoiler.
When I was watching The Good Place, towards the end, they show what it's like in The Good Place. Is that better?
Yeah.
And everybody there is just completely stoic and not communicating, like complete zombie, like nobody's interacting with each other and they're trying to talk to people and no one's talking back to them. And it turns out that they've all been there for so long that they've done literally everything you can possibly do in the afterlife a billion times. And they're all just bored to the point where they just don't do anything. The whole idea I was trying to write about at that point was someone who is already in the afterlife, who's done all that stuff and is bored. And he's just like, I want to go back to being alive. and then he goes back to being alive. And we ended up tying it into the necromancer thing. So he comes back as a reanimated corpse, and he's trying to go around and just have a normal life, but everyone's like disgusted by him because he's literally a corpse. And so he's like, this sucks. And then he wants to go back to being dead again, never being satisfied and always wanting the next thing.
To me, this is by far our most meta song. My memory of it is, like you said, on the surface, it's about a dead person who's like longing to be alive, and then he's resurrected by the necromancer, but it's not all that great when he gets here.
You should try dancing.
I think initially that was kind of it too, where he comes back to life, but all he can do is dance, and so he's just like this.
Yeah, that was actually the original idea.
But for me, the whole thing was that it was a song about the pressures of having to write a new record. But I was also just like, I don't want to. And then people were like, when's the new album? When's the new album? When's the new album? When's the new album? And I was like, I don't know if I even want to do this. So then when we were writing the song, it was like, I know everybody wants silly, spooky stuff, and Necro was really starting to blow up at that moment. So I was like, let's literally give them Necromancy and Dancing again. And when they see that I'm burnt out and washed up, I can basically be like, you asked for this, and you could have let me stay dead.
I remember that conversation, but I feel like us actually tying it into Necro came later. I could be remembering it wrong, or we could be both kind of crisscrossing our stories.
Well, yeah, I guess it's hard when you actually write the original drafts. And just like Sirens, it's like, I'll give you something, and then you have to find your in.
Yeah.
And you always find your in through your life and your experiences or whatever you're consuming at the moment. And you're also trying to navigate an assignment, basically, that I give you.
I like yours better, though, because it feels a little bit more personal and deeper.
Mine's also, like, mean, though. And I don't want to be mean. I'm so thankful for all the fans, but, like, I'm a nervous dude. I'm insecure about the way the fans are going to deal with the music, especially because I go out of my way to make sure that I'm writing music that I like and not really deferring to anybody. So then it's like, well, I did this for me, and then I put it out there, and then it's all like, oh my gosh, people can just tear this apart, and then I spent so much time for nothing. Like, I like the songs, but does it matter if I can't share it with anybody?
I also have an issue remembering how these songs came about, because this is one of the songs that I probably wrote 15 to 20 drafts of before we landed on what it was. And when you're writing something, you get stuck on certain parts and you try to make those parts work because you're like, oh, I really like this part. But sometimes the song evolves to a point where you're just like, this part is forced if I'm keeping it in here, and you have to completely cut it out. And in order to do that, you kind of have to purge it from your memory so that you can come up with something different and not keep going back to that thing that you like. So I might have just purged a bunch of like my stuff from my old drafts and just remember.
Yeah, have fun trying to edit this to be something that makes sense, where we're not just like, that's not how it started. But when it came to the Necro thing, the Necromancer chant, the hi diddle diddly die dee dee die, was in the original draft of Necromancy and Dancing.
It was in the song
that's
until
what I mean.
like a week before we released it.
We literally had it recorded, and it was in the song, and we took it out of the song.
They were cool in concept. They just cluttered the shit out of.
But they really work in When I'm Dead. Buttons and Tig, Bot, are you guys alive? Oh, no.
Sorry, what? My bad.
Which lyrics did you write, Buttons?
I think,
The do-do-bat-do-bat-bat.
yeah, the ones that sound like wood.
Oak, cedar.
I was gonna say when you asked if they were
mahogany.
when you asked if they were alive and he made like a snoring noise.
He does snore in the green room a lot, but he does not sleep as much on the tour as Andrew does.
No.
Andrew, I do not know what it is. Andrew lays down in the back seat of our van and sleeps for like 9 hours a day.
After we sleep in the hotel.
Yeah.
It's not. Oh, okay.
Yeah. No. He sleeps a full night at the hotel.
I don't
and then
think we ever sleep a full night on tour.
Well, okay. He sleeps 6 hours and then he gets in the van and he
Goes back to sleep.
Yeah, he literally just goes back to sleep the entire day.
They were just like, why do you keep falling asleep? And I was like, I don't know. Like, I'm not tired, and I'll get in the van and I'll even download stuff that I can do to keep myself occupied. I'll have games or movies or whatever. And all right, I'm not going to fall asleep this time. And I'll pick it up and I'll press play and I'll just be asleep immediately. And I don't know what happens.
Well, one time I took his screen away from him when he was asleep, and it was just like a spirally hypnotist video. So I think that might be part of the problem.
You guys don't watch those?
But yeah, so I mean, lyrically, I think the song has some stellar Andrew work in it. All aboard, come and cease to be deceased.
You got some
A breakthrough,
bars.
a break dance. I can't resist.
This song
I
has some
love
bars.
it.
I
Yeah,
actually
dude.
have a note in here about how these are some of my least favorite lyrics on the album.
Is it the bridge? Oh, you don't like the first verse.
I don't
though.
like the first verse at all.
Well, the first verse has one of my favorite lyrics that I've ever written, which is "He's got a cool hat."
Yes. And you mentioned the bridge. I'm not crazy about the bridge, but I tried to sneak this by you at first, but the bridge was literally almost verbatim a line from Empire Strikes Back. And I think we were 4 days away from recording the vocals and you were reading it and you're like, is this Yoda? I was like, yeah. And you're like, we can't put that in our song. So
It
I
would make
changed
no
it.
sense here. No sense
It
here
made
it would
perfect
make.
sense. This also is the only song that we have that has legit double bass in it.
Yeah. Freaking power metal double bass. Doodah.
For those of you who don't know, Buttons does not have a double pedal. He plays with
I don't.
one pedal. If we were to
He
play
has a
this live, would
quadruple
you
pedal.
get a double pedal just for that one part, or would you just compensate?
If we're gonna play it live, oh, I'm getting a double pedal for sure.
so cool.
A lot of this song would be not too hard, but there's the fact that we would have to change instruments because this song is in drop C.
Yeah,
it's our only
It's a whole
that's
step down
right.
from every other song that we have.
Yeah, because I wrote the whole thing and then I went to go sing the chorus and I was like, I can't sing this chorus. So we had to drop it. But the riff in the bridge, first of all, I can't sing and I can't play it, but that riff is hard. It doesn't sound that hard, but it is a very, very tough riff to play. And for you on bass, I don't even know how you manage.
Talent.
Also,
Tigbot, that was so nice of you.
we talked about this in the first or second episode of the podcast, but years and years of you making me stretch from the 6th fret to the 1st fret on every riff ever.
Does it do it? Did it do it?
No, but I think it's a 4 fret stretch.
That's too much.
Speaking of that part, though, the bridge before that is one of my favorite contributions to the whole album. You had written that part, and it was just a piano, I think.
Just doing an
Playing that-
arpeggio.
that tritone. And I gave you the suggestion to switch it to 3 different instruments. So I think it's a piano, a Glock, and something else.
Like a vibe,
Not
maybe.
a Glock, like a gun, like a Glockenspiel.
Yeah, like a glockenspiel.
Just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah.
Trigger warning.
Warning.
Because that happened, and you were just like, oh, that fixes the entire bridge.
I'm a huge fan of the whole bridge in general. I really wish we could take another pass at mixing it because it doesn't hit as hard as I'd really like it to. Like when you tune lower, you have to readjust your tone.
Yes.
And I did not readjust my tone. I didn't know that.
Hello, everyone. It's your favorite repeat resident of the dumps, Frank Lawyer. Did you listen to the last episode of The Bear Ghost Invents the podcast, or its tie-in cover, The Sorcerer's Apprentice? Did you notice it was missing a dumb commercial, or the cover didn't have any lyrics in it? Disgraceful! That's why I'm joining a class action lawsuit against Bear Ghost to bring me and you right out of the dumps and back into capitalist prosperity. We Bear Ghost fans deserve better. Call now.
It's still the pizza number.
This song was done. We were listening back to it, and you're like, this is boring. And you went back in, and you just added harmonies and vocal flares everywhere you could to try to spice the song up. So like all those little things in the chorus, like the and all the harmonies that you had in the last part before the last chorus comes in.
In the chorus, because my melody is pretty intricate.
Yeah.
And so I couldn't harmonize at first. I was just like, there's not any harmonies to do. But like I said in a previous episode, I was listening to country music and I was like, they're harmonizing over sometimes some pretty complex melodies. How are they doing it? And so I realized that like anytime a note would come down to where my harmony would be, they just take that low harmony and then they just move it up to take the place of the note that was already there. So I basically just like sang in a chord, and then anytime I would move notes to where I would just kind of like replace notes that I stopped singing with a harmony that was mixed quieter, and so it just always had like a wall of sound.
If you have the ear to be able to discern those harmonies away from the main vocal melody, you can hear they are out of the box harmonies.
Let's hear him.
Oh, hey.
Just out of reach as it ever was when I'm dead. Hanging euphoria by a thread. Just out of reach as it ever was when I'm dead. Whoa, I guess I wasn't satisfied to begin. I
favorite one.
wanted more than the everything at the
So that was literally, like Andrew said, it was just the main vocal melody up until like the day before we turned in the song. And then I just went and I was just like, fucking Freddie Mercury, bitch!
You said that?
I did.
Yeah, we had to cut it out of the song, though.
Yeah. Jeremy was like, that ruins it. You're just screaming fucking Freddie Mercury over every chorus. Fucking Freddie Mercury!
That part that started that bit off where it's all the layers, people have thought that was like modulated.
That upsets me so much.
I know,
People
because
think
it's
I'm
like-
using a vocoder
Yeah,
on
that's
that.
what it is.
Which, Tig, do you know what a vocoder is?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I have one.
Anybody?
That's how I talk.
Oh, no. Oh, wow, nice. Anybody that doesn't know what a vocoder is, it's basically just like you sing into a mic and then you play on a piano and it pitches your voice to all the notes that you're hitting. And so people can use it to get like really complex chords and stuff like that so they don't have to do a bunch of takes.
For example, that is what happens to my voice in the bridge of Heavy News. That's
Yes,
a vocoder.
we use a vocoder in that one to make do sound like Tigbot. But so every once in a while, people are like, "Oh, this vocoder part," and I'm like, "I was in the recording booth for hours laying down. Not only is that part already like a 6-part harmony, but in order to make it sound big, I also did like 6 takes of every part.
Yeah.
So for somebody to be like, "Oh, it's he just sang it once and played it on a piano," I'm just like, "You can eat a dog's pee." I mean that.
I remember before we released it, man, this thing's like missing something towards the end. Until you start doing those vocals, I'm like, oh, yes.
Yeah,
Well,
he really liked
yeah.
the version where I was yelling "f***ing Freddie Mercury" in the
yeah,
chorus.
that was my favorite one.
We have a chat thread between the three of us where Buttons is just swearing at us for months about taking the Freddie Mercury out of his courses.
Don't do it!
You guys are idiots!
I'll quit right now.
My son was saying really bad jokes to us the other day. And so I was trying to come up with jokes back to him. So I was like, "What did the duck say to the car?" And then I was like, "Honk." And the car said back to him, "I understand that." So it's a dumb joke, right? And then I was like, "Well, wait a second. Ducks quack. They don't honk. So I guess it'd be better if it was like a goose who said that to the car." So then I tried to come up with a joke for the duck. And so I was like, "What did the duck say to the car? Quack." And then the car said back, "No thanks, drugs are bad." but then it's like, why is the car still in this joke? Like, why did the duck say this to a car? And anyways, all of it was over my son's head. But it's just like, that's what happens. Your son
You're
says,
a little bit taller
yeah.
than him.
What do you guys think? We'll start a poll. Is that a good joke? Good joke, guys?
The honk one or the quack one?
I don't know. They're all pretty good. I do like "No thanks, drugs are bad." I went through a phase on this record where I was just like, key changes. Can they be done? Has anyone ever attempted such a thing? And, I didn't want to just do your stereotypical, just like do a chorus and then raise it a half a step
Yeah.
out of nowhere. So it was always trying to make a key change sound kind of not really noticeable. I think I did a pretty good job because there's a lot of key changes on this record. But When I'm Dead might as well be called like Key Change the Song. It changes key 8 times or something like that.
While you were arranging the song, you'd call me and you'd be like, "I don't know how to get back into this chorus."
Yeah, it was tough.
Yeah.
Like continuously getting back into the chorus. I don't know. Maybe it's only like 3 or 4. But that's a lot of times to change key in a song.
My favorite key change that you did in the whole album is in Sirens, because you don't know it's there unless you know it's there. And it happens in the middle of a riff. It's not even a part where we noticeably change keys. It's in the middle of a part that we're playing. It's the
So it's
That's the key change.
That's the key change. So unlike Peas or Mario Cliche, where I wrote and I was terrified of people's reaction to the song, When I'm Dead, I was like, Bear Ghost fans are going to really like this one. And people don't really care. People don't really care about this one that much. So what the do I know? Nothing. I want you to do nothing. Tigbot,
Yes.
how are those Discord questions coming?
Let me pull them up. What was the band's favorite song to make thus far?
You go first, Buttons.
I have to say Sirens. The way it was written, how we written it, I still think it's mix-wise, it's one of our best sounding songs.
It's tough to put myself in the mindset to where I was now, because these songs are all kind of like old hat to me, because granted, the record came out in 2023, but with the exception of some like vocals and mixing, most of the songs were done long before that.
Mm-hmm.
So I really like the process of doing Rivers. That was a lot of fun. Putting together Vulture was a lot of fun for me. Just stretching my creativity, because I use a lot of like moody synths and sounds and stuff like that. Normally we're all just like guitar. Also, the chord progression by itself is pretty straightforward. So it was like a weird exercise for me to try and throw in all these like chromatic rises and falls into a regular chord progression and see how that works. And that was a lot of fun for me. Cover wise, I had so much fun with Hot to Go. Everything about that song was so much fun to make, and it was so quick in comparison to some of our other covers. That was a blast. Mama was also really fun
to listen to. I think it was like for a competition or something, but you guys were doing a cover set. But I remember you did what is it, Toxic by Britney Spears?
Yeah.
And I was just like, dang, that was like really freaking cool.
Oh, thanks, man.
That is a fun song to play.
What's kind of cool is like I don't care about Britney Spears. I don't listen to it, but that made me appreciate the song.
Well, Toxic by Britney Spears is a banger song.
Yeah.
That song is...
I didn't realize it though until
Yeah, I think
Composition wise, it's a great song.
when it came out, I was like, yeah, but is it metal? And I didn't care for it. And so it was only like once I was liking music that wasn't metal, I heard it on the radio and I was like, what the f***? This song is incredible. So we used to do these guilty pleasures shows.
that's
Yeah.
what it
And so
was. That's
every
what it was,
every
yeah.
band had to pick guilty pleasures, and we always like,
It's like a 4 or 5 song set.
Those I guess were fun shows.
dude, that show that you're talking about where we did Toxic was one of my favorite shows we ever played. We opened with Bye 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 by NSYNC.
Mm-hmm.
We went into the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air theme song, and then into Apache, Jump On
Yeah.
It, Jump On It.
Yeah.
We did Break Stuff by Limp Bizkit,
We did Friends in Low Places.
by Garth Brooks. We did Wrecking Ball by Miley Cyrus.
That was all that show?
Yeah.
Wow.
We did another one of those at a smaller venue, I think the year before that or 2 years before that or something, where we played Shot Through the Heart. And
Man, we did a thing with Shot Through the
wow.
Heart that
such a bummer.
we thought it was so funny. We finished the song. We were like, you give love a bad name.
Before you go on to this, I just want to point out that the way that song is composed, that chorus happens like 12 times at
Yeah.
the end of that song.
Yeah. It goes on forever. And so we finally finished it. We were like, you give love a bad name. And we let all the applause happen. And then just like, after like 2 minutes of applause, we were like, 2, 3, 4, shot through the heart. And we just did the chorus over again, like 2 more times.
To no reaction.
No reaction whatsoever. No reaction at all. What about you, dude? We didn't talk about you. This is a new song I'm trying to do.
It's
What about you, dude? We didn't talk about you.
What are you, Sugar Bear?
What
Ain't
about
good
you,
enough that
dude?
golden crisp.
Andrew, put that away.
I don't like it. You know what that kind of reminds me of? Like just a little bit that everybody finds funny, except for the person who is every fucking time JG hangs out with me and I go to the bathroom, she's like, wash your hands. And I'm like, God. I'm just like, shut the up. Like, especially like if I'm with people that don't know her or
Yeah.
are dynamic at all, I'm just like, shut up. Maybe I'm-
JG is the literal king of like making you look bad
Yeah.
around other people that don't know the dynamic. Like we would always just give each other shit. The first time I would say something to her in front of a new person, she would just like and like look dejected. And how many people she got to fucking hate me. We were at like a restaurant one time and we were just talking about how she didn't eat this food because she was like full already. And this waitress came over and she was just like, would you like anything? I was like, she doesn't eat anything. As like we were both going to joke about it. And instead, JG looked so hurt. And the waitress immediately was pissed off at me. And then JG is just like laughing so fucking hard as soon as the waitress left.
It's so funny, but it sucks.
I hope she never stops, but
Your favorite song?
the one I want to say that I had the most fun making and putting together and seeing come together was Heavy News. I still love listening to that song. I love playing that song. And there's a video that we made like 2 years before the album came out that part of the samples from the beginning of that song are in. And even back then, like we were just having a blast writing that song.
we rarely do like content. And anytime we do, if we have something, like I always am like, I want to show it to people, but I don't want to like make it a point. And I don't know why I keep doing it because nobody ever notices.
Yeah.
Like in the video that I did of me pogo sticking to Rivers, like at the very beginning of that, I'm like, you know, working on my pogo stick at the beginning of that video, but every clip has a different song from Jiminy on it. And at that point, nobody had heard any of the songs from Jiminy.
They were all unreleased songs.
Not
that
a
was in the
single person commented about how it sounded like there was Bear Ghost stuff in the background. Or when we did the Kickstarter video, I had the Bear Ghost Invents the Podcast theme song, just instrumental under the whole thing. Not a single person commented on it.
Yep.
That kind of thing has happened a lot. So
What is your favorite thing about the music you make? Is it different from what you seek in music you listen to?
This is hard for me because I don't know how to say this without sounding like a pretentious asshole. I don't really listen to music anymore. I want to, but I just haven't been able to connect with anything for a long time. And when I do, it's usually something that's like a film score or like a Broadway musical. And I don't find bands anymore. I can listen to something and appreciate it and be like, this is incredible and this is a great song and this is an amazing composition, blah, 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 blah. But I just don't connect to it the way I used to. And so that's hard for me to say.
I think as shitty as that might sound, I think that's what most people do, hence why they continue to listen to like their generation songs. You know what I mean?
I ravenously listen to music, and there's a lot of negative things to be said about the music industry as it stands. But there are also good things because music is so much more accessible to create, and it has allowed a lot more niche bands. When I was nearing my late teens, and I was getting out of metal and more into like other genres and going to Disneyland a lot and being like, ooh, you know, this
Dixieland jazz.
Yeah, Dixieland jazz and Western swing. I was like, I really like these, but I wish it was heavy. This was a big deal for me. When I first got Muse's Absolution, right? One of the best records of all time.
Of all time. Yep.
Not even mincing words there.
Yeah.
It's just
The first song, Apocalypse Please, or even Butterflies and Hurricanes, I was listening to both those songs and liked them, but I genuinely had an internal struggle where I was just like, but they don't have any guitar in them. Like, there's no heavy guitar. It is heavy, but it doesn't have heavy guitar, you know? And like, now I think that that's it's so stupid. My love for the songs won out. And now I'm like, oh, well, heavy doesn't mean it needs to have like guitar, or songs don't even need to be heavy. I do like when my songs explode. Like, I like dynamic. I like a lot of sound, but that doesn't have to have guitar in it at all. But anyways, I was always very much just like, man, I really wish there could be a band that had like a metal drummer with a groove rock guitarist and like a ragtime pianist and a jazz bass player so that they could like write stuff together that was all in a different genre. Nowadays, you have bands doing things like that a lot more. So for me, it's always kind of a matter of wanting to hear all these other things that I love from other music. It's like fun to see how I can take that and turn it into something that I would listen to years ago. And there are bands doing it now. When I first discovered Will Wood, I drunkenly messaged him on Instagram and I was just like, you are doing what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
And you're doing it 1,000 times better than
that was back when he was And the Tapeworms.
Yeah, this was before he had released the Normal album. He had a smaller listenership than we did, and boy, oh boy, did he blow up. Or Diablo Swing Orchestra. We don't sound like Diablo Swing Orchestra, but like very similar vibes, you know?
Yeah, they have a lot of jazz influence and operatic stuff.
Oh,
and some of the heaviest
But it's always fun is the thing. And I think that's important. It's important to have fun. That is my favorite part about creating music is like I get to craft exactly what it is I want to hear. But that doesn't mean that I don't want to hear other things.
It's very common for no matter what kind of band someone is in, when someone's just like, what kind of music do you play? People are always just like, oh, you know, it's really hard to describe what we play. But for a long time, we just told people we were a rock band because we didn't want to be that guy.
Dude,
but at the same time, it was just like,
You're not rock. What are you talking about?
well, it's not even that. It's just that we weren't going out and being like, ooh, let's write a jazz song. You know, it was like, we were just like, what influence can make this song go the direction we feel like it needs to go?
Growing up, I thought being a drummer just, play as many notes as you can. I didn't realize that by doing that, you're only just going to impress other drummers. You need groove. And Bear Goes is the first where I took a step back from that. And it's like more about what can I contribute to the song? It was like songwriter first, then drummer.
So when I'm dead, I won't have to do this podcast anymore.
You got to keep podcasting after you're dead so you can
Don't
pay
know.
your son's bills.
Should write a song after I'm dead. What happens?
You get necromized. Is necromized a word?
No.
Yes.
Necromanced?
Can it be?
Necromaloobs.
Necromaloobs? I think that is it. He's famously blind.
Who?
I was trying to make a Mr. Magoo joke. It did not work.
Oh, Magoo.
Just thinking about how Leslie Nielsen played Mr. Magoo, and it'd be so funny if that's how he sounded the whole time. Oh, Magoo.
That's what the Mr. Magoo voice is. Leslie Nielsen just did it and was just Leslie Nielsen in that role.
Anybody out there seen Wrongfully Accused or the Naked
Yes.
Gun movies or anything with Leslie Nielsen that doesn't suck?
The Naked Gun reboot that they're doing has my favorite meta joke ever already.
Is it that Liam Neeson is
Liam Neeson
playing
is the
Leslie
star of it.
Nielsen's character? So
I know,
good.
Yeah.
It's such an awesome.
You know that's being directed by
Akiva.
right?
Yeah.
I
Very
know
excited.
Yorma's also doing something too with
Directing another movie, or he's part of this one?
No, he's directing another movie with I can't think of Cobb Vanth.
Who the
What's his
Timothy
Timothy
Chalamet?
Oliphant,
Yeah.
the one that everyone's not sick of.
People are sick of Timothy Chalamet?
Yeah, he's in fucking everything and on fucking everything.
But
He's
good.
great, though.
Yeah,
What's to be
I
bummed?
think you're sick of him.
I'm sick of him. He did a monologue on SNL where he was also the musical guest playing Bob Dylan songs, which was actually cool because he played really obscure Bob Dylan songs.
Nice.
But
Yeah, he did all the singing in that movie.
yeah, the monologue he did, I was just like, ugh, I hate all of these jokes.
We're funnier. Anyways, that's when
I'm
I'm
smarter.
No child can beat the Grinch. I love that. I genuinely love that joke from that movie.
What movie?
That's been When I'm Dead. I love you guys.
Goodbye.
We will see you next week where we will be discussing how to kill you.
Adios.
Can we say that?
Au revoir. Off Wienersen.
Hey everyone, thanks for listening. Special thanks to our Kickstarter backers. Next week, we will be taking a break from doing a cover because as anyone who was at the tour knows, I blew my voice out, and so I'm taking time to recover. I can't record a cover right now. So next week, we're going to be doing an episode specifically on the tour, and then following that, we'll do Vulture, and then probably a cover the next week. So, all right, can't wait. See you then. Love you. Bye. Peace. Bye. Love you. Next week, we'll be doing another episode of the tour. Okay, bye.